He is the Prince of the Provinces, Matua Shane Jones, and I reckon he has to be like a pig in muck at the moment because, Shane, you are at a mining conference with 9,000 other people in Sydney. This would be like a wet dream for you. I shouldn't say that, should I?
Akin to 65 years' worth of dreaming. It's all come true. 9,000 people. I had the pleasure of addressing them on behalf of New Zealand and basically putting up the neon light that the last 6 to 9 years of this dwarfish antagonism towards mining is over. The Aussies are fizzing at the bung. They actually want to see, firstly, the fast-track legislation take root on the parliamentary landscape, but more importantly, they just cannot get over that we're likely to have the most efficient regime in the OECD for the allocation of mining permits.
Are you going to invite the Aussies over here to dig up New Zealand?
You know, I gave $20 million when I was the provincial growth minister to a project, obviously, on commercial terms down the west coast, a crowd called Federation Mining, and they rapidly paid it back. And the Aussies piled in and put $200 million into the fund. So they're already arriving. They're turned on by the fact that we've got antimony, which is a rare earth mineral associated with gold under Reefton, and we've got a host of other valuable resources tied up with the mineral sands and the iron sands. Of course, the iron sand at the moment is subject to misinformation by the people that have left New Zealand. The offshore wind people, they're blaming the iron sand mining permits. Of course, that's not true.
Now, there's a few protesters in Coromandel who are none too pleased with you.
I can't understand these people. We are in Coromandel drilling under the ground. There is no snail, no frog, no multicoloured skink, or indeed dope grower who will be offended by gold mining many, many metres, hundreds of metres under the earth. Now, this speaks to the ideological narrowness and, quite frankly, this hobbit-like thinking we see too much in various parts of Coromandel where they don't want economic development and they seem to think that it's cool just to live on the dole.
Now, you're in a mining conference, as I said, in Sydney. You must be conferenced out because you've also been at an energy conference in Singapore, and you've been inviting the Singaporeans, if that's the correct terminology, over to New Zealand as well. You're inviting the whole world to New Zealand.
I know you're going to say New Zealand first. What about your historic aversion to overseas investment? Of course, we retain those doubting Thomas eyes, certainly when it gets to pastoral land and strategic assets, including the fishing assets. But look, mate, if the Singaporeans want to invest strategically with us and enjoy an experience of pay-to-play because they're concerned about food security, some of the food they need, they couldn't get it in suitable quantities during COVID. They've been invited down by my colleague Todd McClay to come and look at the food industry and espy various opportunities. And one of the entities that we met with is Olam. They used to be involved in the dairy industry, I think in open country, and now they've come back again and they've built a factory in Tokoroa. I'm conscious of the fact that we don't want to unwittingly weaken the position of Fonterra and other players, but we're an open market economy.
Mind you, if you and Winston had your way, we would be like Singapore. Winston's very much a disciple of, remind me of the great Singaporean leader. Lee Kuan Yew, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, no, Winston realises, which is why he's promoted the $100 billion reserve fund to recapitalise and redevelop our country in terms of our infrastructure and other developments. But look, Singapore, similar-sized people. They're very appreciative of the legacy of service. For 60 years, we've recognised their diplomatic connection with us next year. So there's nothing wrong with finding a like-minded, clean pair of hands to come down and join up with current asset owners, the people investing in water like Murray McCully and the Trust up north. I think there's a great future for Singapore and New Zealand food collaboration.
Let's finish on the US election. I know that you spent time in the US. You studied at Harvard. I was there recently, not studying, Shane, just looking. But I'm picking Trump. I think he's going to win those swing states. He's going to get home. That's not a good news story for New Zealand. And I know you have to tread carefully on this one.
Yeah, so it's going to come down to those battleground states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Arizona. And all the tide seems to be going in Trump's direction in those particular states. You know, only 66% of the voters bothered to turn out in 2020, and it's odds on that the turnout won't be as large this time around. But irrespective of who wins, we're an open trading economy, and where there are obstacles erected that impede our ability to profit from trade in such a huge market such as the United States of America, then we've all got to be on a state of high alert. That's why it's important to diversify our trade. I know there's a lot of effort going into India, but I think you're right in the sense that the Democrats might win the popular vote, but you have to win the electoral votes in key number of limited states. And unless you win them, you cannot be the President of the United States of America. And the signs are all going towards Mr. Trump pulling off those highly contested states.
I bet you'll be excited, and I'll bet you'll be like me. You'll be glued to the telly, watching the coverage. This would almost be as good, Shane, as a mining conference for you.
I'm accepting Jerry Brownlee's invitation to go and drink gin and share some time with a bunch of others as the results come rolling in. But hey, you know, there's a showbiz dimension to it. There's a lot of celebrity culture. But like yourself, I've been in and out of the States, and don't ever bet against America.
Shane Jones, thanks for your time from Sydney. You enjoy the rest of your mining conference.
Kia ora, mate. See ya.